guys, it's Rose. Welcome back to Journals in Time. Welcome if you're new. Today's video is part of a collaboration that's running over on a Facebook group called Junk Journal Inspirations and Ideas, or Ideas and Inspirations. I'll have to check that, but I will link the group in the description box below for you guys. The group is run by the wonderful Justine Jenkins and Mandy Reid, and the event for July was a collaboration, and the subject was Interesting July and how interesting facts about July, and we had to take an interesting thing about July and, you know, use something about July in a project. Okay, so what I have chosen is the fact that July is National Picnic Month. National to where? I don't know. Maybe it's International Picnic Month. I don't know. But I decided to go with that, and I have made some picnic basket pockets. And these things are adorable. I love them. I'm calling them picnic pockets rather than picnic basket pockets because I have some examples that I will show you later that don't necessarily have to look like a basket. Okay, just putting that out there. Keep an eye out for that later on. But for my project for the collaboration, I wanted to make a picnic basket, and I love this thing. Okay, so as you can see, we have some paper weaving, we have some decor on the front. Now I will point out that in the video, towards the end of the video, I do say that I'm not sure what I want on the front, and I don't end up decorating this in the video. But I just thought I would show it to you guys here. Okay, so I just put some fussy cut flowers, a couple of layered butterflies, and some words. This one says, I know a jolly good place. And I wish it said for a picnic, but I think it's kind of self-explanatory. So that is the front, and on the inside, now we have little closures here that aren't working at the moment because this piece isn't glued down, but I just wanted to show you that they're there and they work, and we'll see more of that in the video to come. And on the inside we have lots and lots of little pockets with tiny pieces of ephemera and stickers and lots of really cool stuff in there. Okay, so we close that one up, and then we open up the bottom part and we have more pockets with even more ephemera. So really really fun make. I do hope you will enjoy the video, and I really hope you will go and check out all the other collaborators in the collaboration. They'll all be linked below, as well as the Facebook group. And yeah, come along and have some fun with us. There have been some amazing makes so far. I've been thoroughly enjoying them, so do go and check them out. Okay guys, on to the make. Okay, so I have here a few bits and pieces that we are going to need for this make. I just wanted to have some things prepped and ready for you guys here, not sitting here watching me doing all of this. So this first piece, this is going to be the base piece. I am using this particular one as a panel that will go into the back of a journal. I will show you a couple of other ones there in a little while that are free floating or that can be used in the pages of a journal or whatever, but this is intended to be on the back cover of a journal. So I'm using a card base. It measures almost 5 inches by almost 7 inches. That will change depending on the size of your journal, obviously. So we have a second piece here, almost exactly the same. It should have been exactly the same, but it is actually a tiny bit smaller. It doesn't need to be smaller. The same size is good. So again, almost 5 by almost 7. And on this piece, I have a couple of score lines. Now, the way I decided where I needed to score, now this is actually going to be facing up, was that I knew I wanted to use this piece of ribbon, and so I found my center point, put this across the center point, and I scored a line either side of it. Okay, so this is going to be our kind of our anchor piece, we'll say, or our hinge piece. And I have just put some masking tape down just to reinforce that those score lines. Okay, so that is those two. Now these two are the frames that will go around our woven part, or our paper weaving, and it just finishes it off nicely and gives it a nice finished look. These are not necessary, but I think they really add to the aesthetic, especially because I'm doing a picnic basket for this particular one. It just finishes it off very nicely. So they are cut the exact same width as this piece, and they are slightly shorter than this panel. Okay, so they don't come right to that score line. Can you see that? There's about 2 millimeters, maybe 3, I would say 2 millimeters between this bottom edge of this frame and this score line, and we have 2 of those pieces, one for each side. Okay, so I cut my card to that size, and then I just went around, left a 1/4 inch border. Again, that is kind of depends on what look you want for yours. You could make it wider. I wouldn't recommend making, well, it's not that I wouldn't recommend making it thinner. It would be very awkward to do it thinner than that. If you have the patience for that, by all means go ahead. I really don't. So 1/4 inch is probably my limit on that. So yeah, we have those 2 panels. Cut the frame out roughly 1/4 inch wide, and we have those. Now I just used my craft knife and my ruler to do that. I just marked it on the back and just went around it with my craft knife and my ruler. Okay, and the last 2 pieces I have ready here are little closures. Okay, so they're just little strips of cereal box. This is cereal box as well, actually, just so you know. Little strips of cereal box. I just shaped the front of them, cut them the width I wanted. These are about 1 inch, bit less than 1 inch maybe. Yeah, just a tiny bit less than 1 inch, and the length I wanted them, just to make sure that they would go down far enough to be secured. Okay, so that is what we have. So the next thing we need to do is get on with our paper weaving. And I have here all of these strips of paper, lots of them. And this is just some packing paper. It's actually brown wrapping paper, you know, you get it on a roll. And it has those lines in it. It doesn't always have those lines, but this particular sheet did, and I really like that, and I thought it would add to the texture that we're trying to achieve today. This also came on a roll. It just looks like manila paper, almost like manila envelopes. It is very thin, and I just tore those into strips. Okay, I did some inking on them first, just to give them a little bit of extra kind of tones and things like that, just a little bit. So I tore them into strips, again just less than 1 inch wide, and I inked all the edges, which for me it was tough. This is very thin paper, and it took a lot of my patience to do that, but I thought it would really add to the aesthetic in the end, so I sat and I did that. Okay, so we have lots of these, and the next thing we need is just a strip of card. And I have here just an offcut of a kit page, and I'm going to use this as my anchor point for my weaving. Okay, now I don't know if I do this the same as everybody else or if I have a different method. I don't know. This is just how I do it, how I've always done it. I am going to use all one colour for the uprights and the second colour for the ones that go across. Okay, so I'm going to use these yellow ones first, or would I be better off using these ones first? Yeah. Just because they're a little bit heavier, I'm going to use these ones first. Might make things a little bit easier to manage. Okay, so we'll take these ones out of the way for now. And let's start weaving. So how I do this, now I am using glue stick just to get these into place, okay? I will glue each one of these to the bottom part. This is not going to be used, so we're just gluing the tiniest bit of that down here. And as I'm doing these, I'm making sure that they are as straight as I can get them, and I'm butting them up against each other. They don't have to be perfectly butted up against each other, okay? A little gap is fine as long as they're not overlapping each other. It should be okay. Now, the bigger the gaps you do have in there, the more important your surface underneath them will be, because it will be seen a little bit. But just try and get them, you know, nicely situated next to each other like so. Okay? So I'll go on and get the rest of these laid down, and I'll come right back to you guys. Okay, so that's what we have at the moment. I'm going to bring out my other strips. And let's start weaving. So we're just putting it under every second one. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys will have done paper weaving before, but if you haven't, oh look at this. The pieces aren't long enough. I didn't think that one through, did I? Anyway, not to worry. And all we are doing, we're putting it underneath every second one, okay? Now I'm going to get rid of this end just to make sure that it's not confusing the issue. So with this one, the first one, we're just bringing it to the edge of that sheet that we had, okay? It's not super important. Like I said, we will be cutting that off. Now, I do like to just give a little bit of glue under each one just to keep them in place, okay? And it doesn't have to be every one even, just the ones that you can access. You can glue these as you're weaving as well. I just find that takes way too much time for me. I'm very impatient crafter. I want it done and I want it done now. I have very little, it's all about instant gratification for me. Which is not the best sometimes. Okay, so that's that one in place. Now the next one, oh, because we have this lying on top of this one here, we want it to go underneath this time. So this one is lying on top, so the next one will go underneath that one, okay? That will go on top of this one. So then we start just lifting every second one and getting it in under there. Like so. Bring it down. And get it into place. Okay, so that's that one in place, and you can see how it's starting to develop that woven look. So again, the next one, because this one is underneath, we're going to make sure that this one stays on top and it's going under the second one. And we continue that pattern all the ways up until we have our full panel. Okay, so I have all my pieces woven. The next thing I'm going to do, I am going to chop off this piece. Because we've been gluing along the way, it all stays together nicely. Very cool. So the next thing we need to do is to get this onto our lid. So I think that maybe getting this glued down and then trim around it might be the way to go. So I'm going to make a little mark for myself, just so that I can see where that frame actually lands here, and I don't want to go below that point. I don't want this to be seen on the edges. Okay, so let's get some glue down there, and again I am going to use glue stick throughout the center of this, and I will put some other glues on the edges just because it is easier to get a full coverage with the glue stick. Now if I wasn't on camera I would use Yes Paste for this, but Yes Paste can get very messy and it takes quite a while to dry, so that's why I'm using glue stick. Let's get our tacky glue around the edges. We don't want this going anywhere. Okay, so let's get this into place. Like I said, I'm using that mark so that we're not going below where that frame will land. And we'll get this glued down. Okay, so that is in place. Let us get this trimmed down. Okay, let's get our other panel on. Okay, so we have both panels on, and isn't it looking like a picnic basket already? I love it. I love it. Okay. So we need to get our panels down, our frames down. But before we do that, and I'm glad I thought of it now because I would have been kicking myself afterwards if I hadn't. I want to get our little closure pieces on, okay? And I want to get them on now because I want to put brads in them. I will be gluing them as well, but I do want to get brads in them. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the center point of my frame. And as you can see, these are just cut from cereal boxes as well, guys. All about the cereal boxes at the moment. I'm just finding that center point. And I am going to get my holes in here first. So now I can use this piece to determine where I need my holes here. So I'm just lining it up with this edge here. Make sure that's straight. So I'm putting my frame on top. I'm going to take this out of the way so you can see. I'm putting my frame on top of this piece, making it fairly central, and I'm going to mark my holes there, and we can get those into place. So I'm actually going to glue this down anyway. I just want to put the brads in for aesthetics. Okay, so I'm just trying to get it level with that top. And I'm going to put a little clamp on that for a minute. There we go, and we'll get the second one done. And let's get some brads into the second one. Now, I'm trying to think, do I want that to come all the way through here? I don't think I do, because then I'd have the added thing of trying to hide those. So I'm going to put the brads on before I glue it down. Let's find some brads. Do I want small ones or large ones? Oh, I think I might have to go with the large ones on this. I didn't think I would say that, but I think they look awesome. Okay, so I am going to get some masking tape. Now, my masking tape isn't as sticky as it used to be, so I'm going to get some glue on there. And the only reason I'm covering this with masking tape is for to give myself somewhere to be able to glue, because I can't glue over those brads. Well, I could if I use glossy accents, but this is just a simpler fix, so that I can glue the masking tape to our piece. And let's get the brads into the other one. Et voila. Those are ready to go. So we just need to get these put into place now. And so I'm just gluing these down. Now I have sanded my cereal box fairly well in this case, so I didn't peel the backing off of it. Now I am, however, going to get a larger bottle of glue, because it will take me forever to get enough glue with that tiny bottle. You want to try and avoid getting glue on your closure piece right now. In fact, you don't want to get glue on it at all. Just make sure all the edges are done really, really well for this. And let's get that into place. So just lining it up with these corners closest to me here. There we go. And I'm just going to spend a little minute working this to make sure it is stuck down in all the right places. I'm loving that. It looks so cute. Now I do want to round those corners because I'm just too excited to see how that's going to look. So I'll start with the 7 and we'll see. We might go to the 10. We'll start here if I can get it into my corner rounder. No, it doesn't want to go in there. No. Okay, we'll wait for it to dry and maybe it will go in then. Okay, so let's get the second one in place. Same process. Okay, so we have our panels on. Doesn't it look so cute? I am so looking forward to seeing this finished. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get our ribbon down the center here. Yep. And I am going to use tacky glue for that. Now you could do whatever you want on this part. You can just put a dark strip of paper or a piece that matches this, or You could actually technically bring these pieces all the ways across, but I wanted to keep the bulk out of those hinges, so that was why I did them in 2 separate panels. Plus it looks good. It looks so cute. Okay, so that is that part. I really want to get those corners around it. May have to do those by hand. I'd prefer not to because I'm not very good at doing them by hand, but if we have to, we have to. So I think the next part of the process is going to be getting this glued into place. But I want to dye the rest of this paper. I was going to try and leave it, but it's bothering me. So I am actually going to go ahead and dye that. I'll show you how I did it. I have here a little spray bottle with just some Distress ink, re-inkers and water inside. I just spray this on my desk. Quite a bit of it. And dip, dip, dip. Okay, so that's all dry now. And we can get our little basket into place. Okay, so I'm just trying to kind of center this. Now, like I said, this should have been the exact same size, but me with my very bad cutting skills. So I'm just keeping it in place there. I'm going to get my glue all along this center strip between those 2 score lines. And doesn't that really look like a picnic cloth, picnic blanket? I think it's so cute. Picnics are one of my favourite things, I have to say, but I have very different ideas in my head about what a picnic is compared to what I actually do when I'm going on a picnic. Isn't that strange? Like if I'm going on a picnic, I might make some sandwiches, a flask of tea, maybe a packet of crisps or something like that. It's all very simple, kind of fare, an apple, that kind of thing. But in my head, it's all like orange mimosas and pink champagne and strawberries. Very romantic. So yeah, I don't know, it's a bit of a strange one. And then I have the whole thing from, I used to read Famous Five books when I was a child, Enid Blyton's Famous Five. I was a huge fan, and of course they always did picnics. And they had big slabs of bread and honey for something sweet. They might have boiled eggs, tomatoes, that kind of thing. So I have 3 different ideas of picnics in my head. Which, probably not a bad thing, I guess. I'm just going to keep that in place and flip it over. This does look like it's after going a little bit cattywampus on me. Move it back a tiny bit. That's better. And there we have it. Look at that. That is so cute. When I am going to glue this down, I will be gluing down the sides here and leaving a slot for this to slip under. So it'll be on the page like that, and when we flip it up, this will be able to slide under like that to close the pockets. And you'll be able to pull it out, maybe a little awkwardly, but you can pull it out, and there we have it. Awesome sauce. Okay, now let's see if I can get these corners rounded now. No, that's really not going to go in there. Oh, wish it's going in, it's going in. Look, very stiffly, and I have to maneuver it into place, but yay. Okay, so let's get the rest of these done if we can. Now, if you're using this on a journal page, you could just build this part onto the page without using the backing piece. That is entirely up to you. You can use the backing piece or just build it onto the page. Okay, so that is the outside pretty much finished. I do want to do some decor on it, but first I want to have a look at the inside because we're making picnic pockets. So on the inside you can have any configuration of pockets that you want. I want to put little pieces of ephemera, maybe some fussy cuts, things like that into the pockets, maybe some stickers, labels, that kind of thing. Things that can be picked out and used throughout a journal. So I'm making little pockets, and I'm just trying to figure out how I'd like those to go. So if you look into a picnic basket, you will have little pockets for, you know, cutlery and things like that. I'm going to try and play around with that a little bit, and I'll come back and let you guys know what I came up with. Okay, so I've had a little look through my stash, and I've come across these shapes that I cut out a long time ago with my Cricut, and I have quite a few of them. So I'm going to lay these out in little tuck spots like so, so that when you open the lid of this, it looks like a picnic basket laid out. Isn't that cute? Okay, so I'm not obviously going to put them in white. I do want to do stuff to them. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to spray my table like I did earlier on for that backing piece, and I'm going to get these all dipped, and then I will come back to you guys. Okay, so we have our pieces all dyed up. Now the next thing I want to do is get some detailing on there. I'm just going to grab a stamp, ink it up, and stamp randomly across all of these together. Now let's see how that's looking against our background for a start. So I do think that I want some detail here. And the first thing I want is some splatters, I think. Getting a little bit mixed media-y here today. So I have here some, it's actually a spray that I made up, but it is made using Inca Gold. I just put some Inca Gold into a little bottle, mix it up with some water, and there's a little bead in the bottom so that I can mix it up, because it does settle when it's left to sit. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to pull out my thing and try and get some splatters on there. This probably isn't going to do the job that I wanted to do. I may have to look for something else here. Let's see what we have. I do know I have a brush here that I got specifically to try for splattering. So let's see if I can put my hand to that. This one. It's got long bristles and they're synthetic, very synthetic bristles. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's doing a much better job than just the, even if the splats are a little bigger than I probably want, but let's make sure we get some on all of them. Okay. Okay, so we have all of those dry. Now, I probably don't have fussy cut images tiny enough for all of these. You can decorate these any way you want. I am going to try some washi on here. I have these beautiful washies that my bestie got me for my birthday. So I'm just going to pick a few bits and pieces and get those just on those. Excuse me. Okay, so I have all these trimmed out, and I am actually going to put them down just like this. You could go further with this process, adding extra things. To be perfectly honest, I'm running out of time today, so I don't have time to go rummaging for little bits and bobs to go on there. But you know, you could add some little buttons, threads, words, things like that, and they would look awesome. But for right now, let's get them down. Okay, so I know that I want this one to go down here. I want this one up here. These two little ones down here, and two of these guys up here. And I want that larger one at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to glue all of these into place. Some of them will be glued as tucks, some of them will be glued as pockets, but I think it will be mostly tucks. Okay, so that is the first one done. Let's move to the second one. I'll show you the layout and then I'll go and get them all into place. So this one and this one are going to be like so. We have this one and this one here and these two up here. Awesome sauce. So I'll get those glued into place. Okay, so there we have all of our little tuck spots. Aren't they so cute? I love it. Let's get some ephemera in there. Let's see what we can find. Okay, so I have stuffed this thing full of ephemera. I have just put lots and lots of little bits and pieces, tickets and tags and little floral circles, all sorts of stuff. There are some stickers in here. Some of them need inking still. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. A little card with a rose on it. There are tickets down here. And in the other side, same thing. I have stuffed lots and lots of little tiny ephemera pieces into these teeny tiny pockets. 3 stamps. Some numbers, some labels, all sorts of good stuff in there. So that is that. Now I did consider possibly decorating the front of our basket, okay? Something like this. And I may yet do it, but I'm not sure what I want on there. The usual for Rose. Okay, so I am going to leave it. Now, as I mentioned already, when I glue this down, I will be leaving a space here free for this to tuck in behind, okay? Top and bottom, like so. So it will be like a little closed up space sitting in the back cover of a journal with lots of little bits of ephemera to be used throughout the journal. I think that is really sweet. Now, I did want to show you guys as well that I had made a couple of other ones just as I was playing around with the concept and the idea of this. Okay, so here's one that I built on an actual page. It doesn't have paper weaving, and that was one of the points I wanted to bring across to you. You don't have to do it to look like a basket. You can use these pockets like so. Okay, now as you can see, I have some ephemera in this one. I've just put some slot pockets in the top here. Popped some ephemera in there. Down here, this is a tuck spot. This little envelope cluster. I think this was a Gail Agostinelli idea. And I have a few of them there in my stash, and I thought it looked really sweet in here. This little girl, I think I'm going to actually paste her down there rather than having it as ephemera. But for right now, she's just sitting in there. And on the other side, I have done a large slip pocket in this way. Fit in. And these are double corner tucks. Okay. Very simply decorated in the background with a stamp and decorated the front. I've had these 2 little fairy girls in my stash for a long time, and I just love them on there. It was a great way to use those up. So that is that one, and I do also have a smaller version. I have made this as a flip, so this will glue down to your page. This strip here, it will flip out like so, and you'll have journaling space there, and on the front our pockets come up and down. And I have just put little it's not quite vellum, but we'll say tracing paper pockets in here, and they will just hold a tiny piece of ephemera there. Okay, and this one is made in the same manner as this, where I have glued this center piece. Now, I haven't any closure on this, and I actually don't think it needs it. They do tend to want to stay fairly you know, flat. So I'm not going to do anything. Do you like my butterflies? I think they're so cute. I did do paper weaving on this one as well. Now, like I said, that one has been glued down in the same way as the one that we made today. This one, however, if you'll see, I just have the one crease here. I don't have that band across the middle of this one. And all I've done for that is I folded my paper in half and I hinged each side of it. So you can see here where I have a hinge pasted on. And it is the same on the other side. Just a hinge pasted there as well. So that's just another idea to do it in a different way if you didn't want that band across. I was just playing with different ways of achieving the kind of flip up basket style pockets. I call them picnic basket styles. You know, that's what it reminds me of. Okay, so that is it for me for today, guys. I had a lot of fun with this project. I hope you guys will enjoy it, and I hope you will make your own. I would love to see if you do post on Facebook. Do tag me on Facebook, Rose O'Keefe, because I would love to see what you guys come up with. I think this could be something, you know, really fun and so different depending on who does it, you know. Yeah, so make sure you go and watch all the rest of the videos. I will link the Facebook group below. It is Junk Journal Inspirations and Ideas. It is run by the wonderful Mandy Reid and Justine Jenkins, who have set us this collaboration this month, and it was awesomely fun. So do hop over and check that out, and I will leave links to all the other participants in the description box below as well. Okay guys, I think that is it from me for today. Yeah. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.